family, money, this a triple threat. Really started with nothing, had to manifest. If you don't know your worth, they gon' give you less. Why they envy me? Cause I'm the best. MVP. My legacy is how they remember me. And I know success brings your enemies.
All right, welcome back to another episode of the Triple Threat Podcast. I am one of your hosts, MVP Vic.
One of your co-hosts, Chris Bruce, aka Detroit Mogul.
Another one of your hosts, Brian Keys, aka UK609. And today we have a very special guest.
Very special.
How special, Chris? I'm gonna let you do it.
The great thing about this guest today is not only is she a phenomenal woman, which we're going to talk about some accolades that she has, but also she is my son's mother. And still to this day, my best friend.
Aww. So sweet.
But let's talk about the accolades now, because listen, I like when we got successful women in the field, right? So number one, she has her own podcast agency called Insta Podcast, which actually happens to be the company that publishes this podcast, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she has put out over 200 podcasts worldwide, as well as collectively all of the podcasters have done over 2 million downloads. Now, I don't know if you guys understand when it comes to actually putting out a podcast to get people to listen to it. To have 2 million downloads, unique downloads for a podcast, is something that most people hardly ever do. Also, she also is the founder of Innovative Income Summit, which is an annual event that they hold for women to learn how to build your brand and be able to create a business that is profitable, right? Because some people go out and create a business and say they're an entrepreneur, but a business is not a business till you're actually profitable, all right? And so that's what she does. She hosts that event with her co-founder, Megan, and they just hosted one recently, depending on when you guys listen to this episode. They just hosted it this past August, and July going into August, and then they're actually going to have another one coming up in January, which you guys will have the links at the bottom. But go ahead, let me wait no further. Welcome on our guest, Jessica Hurley. How are you doing tonight?
Amazing. Thank you guys for having me. This is amazing what you guys are doing. People really, really need this. So I'm excited to be here. Honored, of course, to have this conversation from a business perspective.
Absolutely.
And just really speak some truth tonight. So thanks.
All right, so I'm gonna ask the first question. Who is Jessica Hurley? Like, what do you want the world to remember you as?
Oh. I want to be remembered as a woman that gave every other woman a permission slip to speak her truth. Every other woman that woke up in her mid-30s, late 40s, early 50s, I don't care when it was, and woke up and was in the kitchen cooking like she always does, doing all her motherly duties, and said, why do I feel so empty? Why do I feel like there's more? And was pressed to feel like she needed to be grateful, but realizes, and I want to give every woman this permission slip. Ladies, listen to me carefully if you're listening to this. Men, if you're listening to this, send this to your lady. That feeling is normal, and it's because women wake up at some point, get the whole checklist taken care of, the man, the house, the backyard, the money, the career, all the things, housewife, whatever it is that you want to be, and find themselves feeling empty. And they think it's from overwhelm, but it's empty because every woman is also put on this earth with purpose. And we spend a lifetime pleasing other people without figuring out what it's actually about. And we have a purpose. We are put on this earth with intent and purpose. And we do this checklist we're taught to be grateful for, and we find ourselves feeling empty. And I want to give every woman a permission slip to say, you can have all those things and have purpose. And it can be unrelated to your spouse, your children, your career. It can be more.
Love it. So you ladies watching that. Right? That was super deep.
It's been 4 minutes, y'all.
All right. All right. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and get into podcasting.
Yeah.
So you produce all these podcasts. So why is podcasting so powerful?
So at one point it was because of and there's so much to this, so I'll try to break it down slowly, but there's really, if you look at it, there's 5 platforms that you can really create like, know, and trust with your audience now, and all of which are online, right? So as we've gone through this realm, you're talking about, it was blogging for a while, then it was books, then it was Instagram and Facebook, and then it was YouTube, right? And then there's podcasting. So one thing that a lot of people don't know, and this is a research project that was done through Nielsen Media Research Group, which is actually based here in Tampa, that out of all those platforms, the average listener can only consume content from one user for about 7 minutes, max, even on YouTube. So the average one, now of course we all watch a couple episodes longer than 50 minutes or whatever, but the average viewer can only view 7 minutes worth of content. The average podcast listener will listen to one episode from their favorite podcaster for 26 minutes or longer. So the ability to scale intimacy, and if you know anything about internet marketing, product sales, or building a brand online, you have to scale intimacy. People buy from the person now, not the product. Nobody's reading reviews anymore. I mean, besides Karens and type A personalities. But nobody's buying from product reviews or because this product is so amazing. At this point, everyone's buying from a person, right? So they need to like, know, and trust you. You need to be able to scale intimacy faster than yesterday because people are getting online today and selling something tomorrow. So you need to be able to scale intimacy immediately. So if you can get yourself on a platform that someone will listen to one episode from you for 26 minutes or longer, they literally already feel like they're sitting on the couch with you. The connection is unmatched. You cannot do that on any other platform.
I like that. So with everyone starting podcasts nowadays, what does it take to have a successful
one? One hell of a personality. Vulnerability, right? So we can only take your surface level shit for so long, right? So
you gotta cry a little bit.
You know what? That's such a good question when it comes to men. No, that's such a good question because the only male podcasts that that are popular right now are like what I would call like banter podcasts, right? So it's where they fight, argue, and debate topics all day long, and people love to hear a good debate, right? If the 3 of you sat on here and all agreed with each other about turtle, people would be like, boring, next, right? So there has to be a little debate and some back and forth or some what we call like banter podcasts. But I think vulnerability, so unfortunately, every male podcast I'm thinking about that's vulnerable happens to be Caucasian podcast. But if you know people like Aubrey Marcus, or there's some incredible podcasts out there where men are really opening up the doors to be vulnerable without crying.
Brian, we need you to cry. I got you.
Can you cry?
I'm gonna get my little eye drop.
You have the prettiest eyes, so you should probably cry.
Oh, thank you. Damn, come on, got it. Brother in. Woo, man.
Bring an onion around.
Eye drops.
Lord knows you don't cry. Ever.
That's not true.
I believe it.
It happens.
We can see it.
It happens. Y'all better go get hypnotized.
Nah, I cry all the time though, man. Listen, I don't know how you don't do it. You got a daughter, right?
I did when she was younger.
Bruh, everything my daughter does, I'm like, everything. That little girl, wow, that's my little heart, man. So y'all just sit there right here and get her to say something, touch it.
She just gotta sit back there and be like, Daddy, I love you.
Facts. I'm like, oh my God. I love you too.
That's good.
My daughter still holds my hand, bro.
Aww.
She is 15 and will still hold my hand out of all places, the mall.
I know you was gonna say the mall.
The mall. With all these little dudes running around, she will hold my hand.
That's
just
good.
nothing.
She's looking for you to protect her, though.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And absolutely. You set the standard for who she would date in the future.
Absolutely.
She's gonna require that they hold hands. So
Yeah.
That's good.
You gotta show your girls how a man's supposed to love them.
Absolutely right. So we talked about what it takes to be a successful podcast. You said personality. So are you saying that if you just want to be a person that's reporting some news or whatnot, that's not going to be enough for somebody to be successful?
Okay, that's not necessarily true because that's an interesting subject too because the number one podcasts right now are comedy and news, right? So if you look at that, that's literally personality, that's education and entertainment in 2 separate formats, right? So it's not to say that if you were to report the news, but the news is also dramatic and interesting right now as well.
Right.
So you and I have talked about this before, is where like charisma is such an important, like you just have to have it. You've seen when somebody doesn't have it, right? So you can have an educational podcast, or you can have an entertainment podcast, or you can have a combination of both. But I think you have to be willing, I'll be elementary and I say this, you have to be willing to be long-winded, right? So I've worked with people before where we try to do a podcast and they want to knock out all this topic-related content and literally educate. It's like people need stories, they need relatability, they need discussions, they need breakdowns, they need metaphors, they need examples, they need, like, it's, you cannot educate without storytelling. And people forget this because there's a multitude of learners. So in order for people to conceptualize what you're saying, some people need to hear the facts, they need to hear the black and white, some people need to see examples, some people need to hear stories. That's how we learn, and that's how we have hope. Literally, pastors, hello somebody, like hope dealers. Like that's all done through storytelling. And when you think about each one of you, right? Every single one of us that has been through something traumatic, been through circumstance that was unbelievable, something that we could not ever see ourselves going through. If you think back to what kept you going, no matter what, it was a story. It was a story, right? I think about when my father was dying. Everyone that came out and said, hey, you know, my mom or my dad had cancer, and they got through it. Those were the things that kept me going. When Cam was hospitalized, what kept us going? People messaging us saying, hey, my 22-year-old brother was a preemie. He's so smart, he's fine now. Those are the things that kept me going. So we always think that we're throwing a pity party or we're oversharing when we tell stories, but stories are literally vulnerability and stories are literally the thing that keep people having hope and moving forward.
So I know, obviously, you being a podcast queen, you have all of the stats. Do you think that the market is saturated for people to come on new podcasts?
I love this question. Okay. So if you want to talk about what is saturated in podcasting or what's dying, it's audio. So.
That's what we actually our next question.
Okay.
So like the radio style podcast, where you don't see them, it's just
Yes, and it's because it's so hard to market. So when you open your Instagram now, what do you see?
Video.
You don't see pictures, you don't see audiograms. For those of you listening, audiograms are like a 1-minute clip, but it's a photo with like a moving audio clip. Nobody's checking for that right now. That is not enough when it comes to marketing. So, and even all your top podcasters, I don't know if you've noticed this, but on iTunes, all your top podcasters, you can actually play a video on iTunes. Anyone under the 1% cannot, but the 1%, they allow you to play a video on iTunes. Wow. And then for marketing purposes, you need video clips. But it's because the attention span has become so short. Nobody on Instagram is pressing, or social media for that matter, is pressing play on any social platform to something that does not have a video where they cannot see your face and your like reactions, right? Yeah. So that's the thing that when we talk about saturated, I would say like, if you're thinking I just want to pull out a mic and tell my story and sit in my closet, you're up against a wall. Like you're climbing a mudslide. However, saying that podcasting stuff is saturated is actually the opposite. Because again, if we go back to the platforms that you want to utilize to get your message out there, become an authority figure and an expert, if you're looking at YouTube, podcasting, all these things, Facebook, Instagram, I'm gonna throw some stats out there and I might be a little off because I can't quite remember them, but Instagram has over it's like 500 million people that consider themselves like entrepreneurs and content creators. Facebook has over 3 million registered business owners. That's registered. So that means I went on there to run ads, said I was a business owner. I don't have a registered business on Facebook. So I don't count. So that's just the people that have registered, 3 million, right? On YouTube, there's over, I think, 100 million content creators. It's like these crazy numbers, right? So you're talking about in the 100 millions as far as your competition. With podcasting, and this is months ago, so it could have adjusted, there's almost 2 million podcasts on the app. So that's only 2 million podcasts on the app itself. However, there's only less than 1 million that are considered active. And that's because when people put the podcast on there and they don't get immediate results, they just let it go. Most people never go on there and actually delete it because it's a lot of work. They just leave it on there to dry. It's like leaving that old car in your front yard. And they just leave it on there. So there's 2 million on there, less than 1 million that are currently active. So when you look at all the platforms to become an authority figure on, that is the least saturated and the easiest to scale intimacy. So to me, when I look at all your options, it's still the easiest lane.
So I just want one follow up to that, because when we talked about how do you become successful. So if you're a new podcaster and you're saying, okay, you audio and video, like to become successful, how do you market it? Like if you go back to your clients, what would you say is the number one thing that made somebody successful as a podcaster if they were new, or is it because they already had an audience?
No.
Okay.
No, God, no. That's such a good question, but I've had some crazy one-offs. People that have like 300 followers and do like $2,000 in the first day. So there's a lot of little tiny things in there, like great titles, great copy in the show notes. There's a lot of little things, but I feel like where we've seen the most success is like two major things. Leveraging guests, right? So having guests on that you can have them share your podcast on and before launch day that are kind of on your team with this, right? So sometimes people will have big guests and then they'll say, oh, this big guest will help me so much. They may not help you if they're not interested in marketing it as well, right? So if they're just the big guest that's gonna click share when you post it, that may not help you at all. But saying, hey, so-and-so, I'm launching on the 7th, on the 1st, would you be willing to share this 2 or 3 days for me on our behalf, just to help us with this launch so it can kind of go crazy? And they say, oh yeah, no problem, because they're not in that scarcity mindset or whatever you want to say. So that would help you significantly, because I've seen people think that just big podcasters will help, or someone with a big audience leveraging them will help, and it doesn't if they're not willing to put the marketing behind it, right? Pressing the share button is nothing now. People flip through stories like it's nothing. And I would say that's one, and then two, I would just say the marketing. And I want this to come across so freaking clear, because I swear this is the biggest fight I have with all my all my podcasters. And I feel like you two will probably have this battle as well. Chris understands this. People think, so let's say your podcast is coming out in 2 weeks. People want to share an audiogram or a 1-minute video like once a week. And be like, oh, I posted it though. And it's like, are you aware that less than 3% of your audience sees stuff when you post it once a week? Even if you posted it 5 times in a week, I guarantee you 70% of your audience did not see it. And so knowing that, one, you can post this twice a day, not one soul is gonna reach out to you and say, I've seen this enough, can you stop? Like, not one soul is gonna say that. So you almost need to hit them so hard that they're like, enough already, when's the podcast coming out, right? Like, I've seen enough, I'm ready to press play, where is it? That's one. And then two, coming up with other creative ways to market it, right? So that's not just introducing a couple clips here and there, it's having fun, right? So right now we're watching the Instagram is becoming so entertaining. And I was just talking to a social media expert the other day, and he was saying that they're really pushing towards uncommercialized content and very organic content. So they're thinking that people get on Instagram to check out. So they don't want commercialized content. They want fun, entertainment, semi-educational content. So doing fun videos and then just tagging your podcast at the end, there's a multitude of ways to market your podcast. I tell people, you should be talking about your podcast 3 times a day, every day leading up to your launch.
Write that down, fellas.
3 times a day, every day for at least like 2 weeks.
So with that question, I got a follow-up one. So what do you recommend is something you should do if you're trying to get your podcast started, you haven't dropped it yet, but you want to keep your audience engaged? Like we've done that. We've dropped a few gems here and there, letting people know that it's going.
Yeah.
But we got people in our DMs that are like,
very few I follow.
I think I'm one of those people that you talked about where I'm like, man, look, I don't want to just keep putting.
I don't want to keep bothering people. We don't have it.
So I'm gonna drop it once. And you know, we all have people in our DMs. It's like, what's up? When you gonna do it? And I'm like, no, it's coming.
Let me ask you. You ever had a girl you really wanted?
Yeah.
When she didn't respond, did you hit her up again?
Maybe like once.
Or 10 times. Men always underestimate the number. So if it's twice, it was like 10 times.
You know, our numbers are. Men can't count.
No, this is what men do when you don't respond. They just start heart eyes on everything you post. So instead of sending a message,
I'm guilty of that one.
Start talking about face. Your shoes look nice.
But see, I use the fire sign. I use the fire sign.
So somebody say something, it's not too inappropriate.
Hey, don't
He don't look thirsty. He just celebrating.
Tell him, hey, you doing your thing.
Right.
Keep it up.
So it's kind of like that. Like you keep on keeping on regardless. It's literally the same thing with the podcast. Like you literally have to inundate them with this content, and you have to get so creative. And I think I have to remind myself that I'm in this mindset because I do it so often. Mm-hmm. But there's so many ways, right? So one, you got to think of your stories as behind the scenes, right? So content behind the scenes content. Oh, recording with so and so, blah 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 blah.
So we should be showing something right now.
Absolutely, you should be doing a story that you're recording.
Jalen, where you at?
We need our producer to come over here.
Then before you record with me, you could have got on your stories and been like, I don't know if you guys know who Jessica Hurley is. She's runs a podcast management agency. We're jumping on here. Send us your questions, DMs. You got any questions? You ever want to start a podcast? So you
gonna tell us that now?
My bad.
Knowing you were the one person that has all three of our contact information.
But then watch this, and this is where this is going to get really hard for you guys. Mm-hmm. So I know the slew of the guests that you guys have already had on this podcast, incredible guests, right? With a lot to offer. And this is hard for women especially, if you can get out of the scarcity mindset, think that if you're sharing their content, you're going to lose people, followers, or money, whatever. I would start taking those guests that people are not aware that you interviewed, and I would just start randomly sharing their content. Have you ever seen this person? They're so dope. They do this. Check this out. Oh, they got a new program. They got a new course. This. So now you've got maybe less than 10% of your audience like following this person now and saying, wow, they're dope. And then all of a sudden you'd be like, oh, interview live with this person. They'd be like, yo, I just started following them and I love them. Yeah. And you interviewed them? Oh, I gotta watch this. Right. Like, so you're just kind of constantly teasing them. Just outside of the clips, and then watch this. This is everyone's favorite, and every content creator will laugh when I say this, right? We know this. When somebody gets on Instagram and says, everybody's been asking me this question. Mm-hmm. Nobody's been asking you that question. But asking that question up front and then selling that your podcast now has the answer to it. Mm-hmm. So for example, let's say you did a financial episode with somebody, right?
Yeah,
primarily about credit?
Shout out to Martin. Well, It wasn't just about credit. He actually has a firm. So if you want to invest in things,
an investment.
He's an investment firm.
So if you got on your story the day or 2 days before it came out, you could say, I get a lot of DMs, those that are before they're investing in Turo, before they invest in their first rental property, they're looking to probably put their money into some type of well thought together investment. Right. That's why we've got Marvin on the podcast. Two days coming up. Marvin is an expert. I'm gonna tag him in the next slide, and he's on the Triple Threat podcast in 2 days. Y'all gotta get ready. Check this out. Mm-hmm. So there's so many ways you can get creative with your content.
Yeah, listen, this is a lot of gems. So any of y'all watching this right now, if y'all want to start a podcast, she just gave you a whole marketing 101 and 102 on how to market your podcast. I hope y'all tuning into this.
What about promo? Do you recommend like doing promo videos?
Absolutely.
If so, should it be serious, funny? Like what do you think?
All of it. So that's something that I've actually had to adjust to because like the first year I did podcasting, it kind of was like everything was very serious. Okay. Right? Very serious, very professional, very like well put together. This year I'm watching like do the viral content, do the funny shit, do the reels, make fun of each other, like mock people, all the things, and then just market the podcast at the end. Let people be confused because people are so worried. Like, what if people don't understand what we're doing? So what? If they keep it's just like Pepsi, a subtle Pepsi in a movie. You see it 10 times, you already want one, and you don't know why, right? Let them see the brand 10 times, and then all of a sudden when the podcast comes up, they'd be like, "Why does this look so familiar? I feel like I've seen this over and over again. Let me press play on this." Like, just keep hitting them with that branding, that logo, those colors, that messaging, and seeing y'all together in general. It's over. Do the promo videos for sure.
So you think we should spend more time together?
Absolutely.
Filming. Specifically.
Just film?
Do you get together and not film?
We get together all the time and not film. That's the problem.
Who's the culprit?
We get together all the time.
We gotta get
the bad
consistent filming.
I already gave you the play. I gave y'all a ton of ideas around this. Yeah. Y'all got a ton of ideas around this.
Well, we about to tap in and ask you a whole lot more questions. Okay. Even setup and everything. Like what? Listen, I can keep going. What do you think the setups look like? But we're gonna let him go.
This is a great setup.
I mean, even going in the setup. All right, say somebody starting fresh.
Mm-hmm.
What is a roundabout budget that they would need to start a good podcast?
That's such a good question. So I started my podcast with a $45 Blue Yeti, a USB microphone that plugged into my laptop, and a slight echo in the room because I didn't know how to change the sound. And it did well. And so the cool thing about podcasting is a marathon, not a sprint. So you can evolve, it can evolve with you. I've had 3 different podcast covers throughout 3 different years because I became 3 different women over the course of 3 different years. So I took people on that journey with me. The podcast can evolve with you. So I really want people to understand this. And in my mind, I break it down in 2 ways. I really think there's somebody out there that's listening to this that is thinking, I'm ready to tell my story. I've been through some shit. I'm ready to walk in purpose. Purpose to me is when you turn around and use your experiences to help someone else. So you want to grab a microphone and just start talking and telling your story. You could do this for less than $400, literally. But if you are a business owner, an entrepreneur, and you're looking to use podcasting as another way of generating leads, then it is worth spending some money on this. I mean, you guys have thousands of dollars worth of equipment in here, which was completely necessary and appropriate because all of you have things that you sell. So if you can generate more leads off scaling intimacy on this show, and then they like, know, and trust you, and you can immediately sell them something, you're funneling them right into your business. That's worth the investment. So that's an adult question that you have to ask yourself as a listener. Where am I at in my journey? Am I in the startup phase? Am I in the build-up phase? Am I in the scaling phase? Do I just need more people, more eyes to see what I'm doing? You have to ask and be honest with yourself and do like an honest assessment to decide what should this investment look like for me? Because you can do a podcast for less than $400.
So can you monetize a podcast? Like, can you make money off a podcast?
This is my favorite question.
Good.
I feel like every sales call, I get that question at the end. People go, oh, by the way.
Because we got people listening. This is all about securing the bag, right?
Yeah.
Making money. We want to know how you get the money.
Yeah. So you guys will be a little bit different. So sponsorships is definitely an option for you, but I'm going to break this down. There's 4 ways that you can monetize a podcast. There's a ton. But there's 4 primary ways that we tell people. And I explain this in this order, and here's why. Because, so number 1 would be through affiliates, right? So to me, affiliate marketing is the easiest way for you to make money on a podcast because it has very little to do with your numbers and everything to do with being a mouthpiece and no level of fulfillment, right? So if you were a woman that started a podcast, started telling your story and had 300 downloads a month, and you had a favorite skincare, it would take you little to nothing to reach out to that website, that user, that product creator, and say, hey, do you have an affiliate program? If I sell this skincare that I personally love, will you give me 15% and a link? It costs me nothing for fulfillment. It costs me nothing to be the mouthpiece, and I get to make money off of you selling your product while you fulfill it. That's the easiest way you can make money on a podcast. Find products you like to sell, reach out to them, ask them if they have any type of affiliate, get yourself a link, and if 10% of your 300 people buy it, boom, you're making money. So that's the easiest thing you could do right now if you literally know little to nothing about internet marketing or anything or selling a product online. So I would say affiliate marketing. Number 2 is selling your own products and services. Because, so a study came, so we'll get technical and then we'll talk about the real stuff. So Nielsen said that, I forgot the last number, but it was like 41% of podcast listeners bought from their favorite podcast hosts, which to date is way better now than what it is on like television commercials. So that's like a huge level of engagement. If 41% of their favorite, or 41% of your audience to your favorite podcaster is buying whatever you're selling. Hello, somebody. Mm-hmm. Like, that's literally almost, you're converting half your audience. Right. The fuck. That's huge. Yeah. So 41% of your audience is buying. Then on top of that, remember, they like you. They like you. So they like, know, and trust you. So whatever you're selling, and now it's something that you're saying that you created it, there's no bullshit. Yeah, nice. There's no bullshit. Like if I came on here and said like, oh my God, I love Celsius, it's my favorite drink, there might be people listening like, okay, is it really, or are you just saying that because you're making money from it? But if it's your product, your service, and you're saying, hey, guys, I've been listening to everything that you've been saying, all your DMs, all of this and everything that you need, and one of the things I get the most is X, Y, and Z about Turo, we decided we're going to create a course and help you guys because we're getting hundreds of DMs, every couple of weeks, and we want to offer you something to help you. So if you jump down the show notes below, you can get access to our Turo course before everyone else for $97. Boom, here you go. And now your audience is like, oh my God, they listen. Like they listen to what I've been saying. So number 1, affiliates. Number 2, sell your own products and services. and literally explain to your audience that you've been listening to them and you're selling them what they need, right? Number 3 is community. Everybody knows about communities, Patreon, Facebook groups, exclusivity. So a community is you're selling exclusivity. And when you're selling exclusivity, you're talking about high quantity, low ticket, right? So the goal would be something inexpensive for, I'm trying to say this kindly, like bottom feeders, or people that are never gonna spend a lot of money with you.
Bottom feeders? That's the word you chose.
Yeah.
I'm sure they feel wonderful about that.
They feel like wonderful. Bottom feeders spending $5.
No. Okay, so hold on. You're right. You're absolutely right. But there are people that are listening to your podcast that are there. 2 pieces of free content, your podcast and your Instagram, right? There are people that are gonna watch every video you post and never purchase shit, let's be honest, right? So this is for the person creating a podcast. I'm just giving you some game right now. So if there's people on there that are never gonna buy anything from you because they like the idea of doing something, but they may never take real action, let them become a part of the community. Let them get involved in a like-minded group, right? Or let them create a space for them, because you're also gonna have a lot of listeners that are gonna feel like they're not meeting other people like them. They're gonna feel like loners. They're gonna feel like they're on a journey.
Curious, not serious.
Oh yes, curious, not
I
serious.
like that.
Yes.
Put that on it.
Put that on the shirt.
Curious, not serious. Yes.
I like that.
Yes. Because the reality is, if you're gonna offer low ticket, you and I both know that it's not something you're gonna put a ton. You're gonna put some work into, but it's not the same offer you're gonna give your $10,000 clients. So it's like, if you're curious, not serious, you're gonna hear me say that on my podcast. If you're curious, not serious, here's a community for you to be around like-minded people, as well as learn, we'll peel back the layers and get beneath the surface on some of these things that we've been discussing. So community, right? Really cool thing as well I wanna let people know is when we talk about community, most people think Patreon and Facebook community charging $5.99, $25.99, right? All your top 10 podcasters making millions, multi-millions, 70 million, 50 million, 10 million, they're all because they're on a monthly recurring on Patreon. However, clearly iTunes got jealous and Spotify started making a ton of money from this. So before the end of the year, iTunes will drop an opportunity for podcasters to put a payment subscribe button directly on iTunes.
Wow.
So they're working on this already. And what it will be like, from my understanding, is it'll be like a follow button. Because they said they did a survey and a lot of people don't listen to podcasts because when they open the app and it says subscribe, they think they have to pay. So now they're gonna put a follow button and then a subscribe button, and next to the subscribe button, it'll be like subscribe $4.99.
So like OnlyFans.
Hey, did y'all hear about that?
We did hear about that. We did hear about that.
October,
that content, sexual content is
no
gone.
more sexual content.
I knew that was coming.
Hey,
Yeah.
I hope y'all been saving y'all pennies.
And I hope you've been
Y'all better
I hope
listen
you've
to
been
the podcast. We're gonna show y'all another way.
Another way.
I hope you've been Loom recording everything y'all watch because it's about to be gone.
Hey, tune in if you ain't been saving that bag. We gonna teach you how to get it.
That's exactly.
You just put that money somewhere else. And then number 4 is sponsorships. And so I say sponsorship last because sponsorship is exclusively based on your number of downloads, right? And you're putting a lot in the sponsor's hands. So the way I kind of explain this is sponsorships can be really finicky, right? So I remember having a conversation with the vice president of Podcast One, TI's podcast, Floyd who's the other fighter? Not Floyd Mayweather.
Mike Tyson.
Mike Tyson, thank you. I could see his face and his teeth, but I couldn't think of his name. The VP of Podcast One, and he was like, it's insanely difficult to work with sponsors because their expectations are super high. Now your podcasters become the talent, and the expectation for what they want you to say is like, they don't even allow you to be yourself. So I have a podcaster right now that does 6 sponsorship ads per episode, and literally calls me every time she's recording them and is like, these people want me to talk about how I jump in my bed and it's like a springy, comfortable, blah, like she don't even talk like that. So it's like the requirement that the sponsors are asking of you is you have to use their language, you have to speak so highly of their product, right? So there's a lot of, there's just a lot that's finicky about it. And then they're gonna only sign a short contract with you, so 3, 6 months, maybe 12, maybe 1. And if you don't get them the results they're looking for, they're gonna pull the contract. So if I just always think about people like you and I, right? And to me, I always look at like selling my own products and services versus sponsorships. And to me, selling my own products and services is just so much more promising. So.
Even affiliate marketing.
Yeah. Yes.
Sponsorships.
Yes. And I have podcasters that don't sell a damn thing, but they will not let someone on their podcast without an affiliate link.
Yeah.
So everybody they have on, they'll say, hey, you sell a course? Great. You can talk this course up all you want, but I get 15% of everything you sell in this podcast. So they literally just make money off of everyone they have as a guest.
Well, we're gonna be doing that too. Some of our guests, before we drop the link in the description, we'll have our affiliate links. So don't worry, you got us.
Of course.
All right. So outside of podcasting, of course, because that's just one of the many things that you do, you have this innovative income summit, right?
Mm-hmm.
That you've done. How many times have you done?
5.
5 to this date.
5
you're watching this 2021, 5 to this date. Why do you feel that it's so important to hold this for women? 1, and then 2, what can a woman get from this if they're to attend? Because you got one coming up in January. This episode's will definitely launch before then. What can they also? The follow-up question is, what can they get if they attend?
Absolutely. So the purpose of Innovative Income Summit is to help women understand that we are of an era now that there is no one in your life that should be dictating your worth besides you. So not a boss, not a director, not a career, not that 10 years of experience that they promised if you just did it, they would pay you what you were worth. Not a spouse, not your partner, not your ex, not your baby's father, and not your parents. Because so many women operate based on the worth that they believe they have based on their upbringing or their childhood. The event is to help women understand that your worth is entirely up to you. You get to decide and then create it. We are at a point now where we do not need to let anyone or wait on anyone to tell us our worth. We absolutely have the creativity, the community, and the connections and the resources to go out there and create it without waiting on anyone else. And it's just simply a decision. And so the goal is to create an environment where you're around like-minded women, to create a container where women feel insanely supported. And I don't know how we do this, but at every event, every speaker I ever have will be like, yo, I've never seen women this engaged. Like, nobody's on their phone. Women are just like ready, right? And it's to create a container where women, and then on top of that, where women can be insanely vulnerable. Because if there's anything that you've witnessed through me and anything that I've learned about my journey is women are emotional. I heard that whoever it was. I was like, that was loud. Women are emotional. And so as a business owner, entrepreneur, or whatever journey you're on as a woman, you need support. And you need support on a different level. And you need to be willing and open to healing. Men, y'all can make millions and never talk about your past a day in your life. Like, y'all can hustle your way to the top without dealing with a thing. Women, we just cannot. No, we can, but we should not. Entrepreneurship is the greatest self-development journey you'll ever go on in your life. It will literally turn the mirror in your face and make you take a good look at everything and decide whether or not you like it and whether or not you can operate in it fully. And so the experience is to create like a true container where women can be completely vulnerable, because we are each other's, like, women want men to heal us. We can't have the people heal us that broke us. So we need to help heal each other. We need to be each other's damage control. So when we're not judging each other and we're supporting each other because nobody understands us better than us, we are the absolute most powerful at that point.
That's dope.
They say men don't heal. We start a podcast.
Hey, man.
Here it is. Hey.
Buy stuff.
Hey, ain't no owls in here. I heard that. Who? Ain't no owls in here.
So another question for you.
Yes.
Your event is for women, right? The innovative
Income Summit. Say it like you mean it.
Innovative income. Can men come though? Are men welcome?
No.
Why?
Absolutely not.
Why not?
No.
Because I feel like a man who may need to push his woman in your direction could come.
get the information, and say, hey, babe, look, you need to go to this. This is what I learned at an event for you.
No. It's like niching. That's like you niching.
That's sexism. It's not fair.
No. I kissed the mic. No, it's like, that's like you having an event all about making money in Turo. And then people are outside like, well, I'm a chef and can I come in? Like,
Yes.
Yeah, you actually can learn.
Yes, you can, chef.
Yeah, that's
Chef Boyardee. Come
Okay,
on.
bad.
We're going to teach you something.
Yeah, we teach you.
bad example.
Okay.
You didn't listen to what I said though.
Uh-huh.
There were the most beautiful part of the event is to create a container where women feel safe being entirely vulnerable. I've had women at this event nonstop say, I have never shared that before. I've never said that out loud. I've never even known that was a problem, and being in this space made me realize I could say it, or made me see it and then say it. We will not do that when we're in an atmosphere where we feel like we have to prove something or we're people pleasing. And women will be people pleasing and trying to prove something in front of a man, period. Mm-hmm. Partner of 10 years, I don't care. They will not be their full selves. It's like they put, you put your partner hat on, you put your employer hat on, you put all these hats on. I've worked with my best friend to create a space where women can take the hat off, take the fucking mask off, and really just pour it all out, put it on the table, and figure out how am I gonna use this, not as a weakness, not as something that holds me back, not as something that I use to self-sabotage, but as my power.
Right.
How do I pull these cards and use them?
Well, what if you how churches have like an overflow room?
How about
men could be an overflow room.
How
I
about
think he wants to attend one.
Yeah, I think he said he's emotional, so he want to go in there and volunteer as well.
hey, I'm gonna make you my stage hands and then you can sit in the back and listen.
I got you.
But you're not about to go in there trying to pull women. Not gonna.
I'm not saying. Hey.
Yeah,
Marcus. I'm not saying pull.
Oh, because they come like dressed to the not listening. These people don't play about.
I'm just saying, like,
let out.
well,
just post up in the let out.
Mike, they go Mike. Mike Loud.
Literally outside.
I'm just saying that. Only reason I say this is because I feel like some women need a little
support.
They need a little kick in the ass. Like, hey, look, stop playing. Get over here and listen to what she got to say.
Yeah, that's what they do though. They create that environment for them.
Yeah.
Because I've been in the first, three of them? 4?
Oh, you were there?
4.
I was there.
Oh, so she let you come?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
He ain't got to be he ain't the boss all the time. He can come help.
Yeah, I was there as a worker. I was serving food and stuff. So
I think you should have a sacred link at the bottom of your thing that's like, you want to be there, you need to be a helper or something. You need to be a drink provider.
This is what I think.
I'm just kidding.
I think that if this is something that you guys feel so needed, I think that you all especially need to step up and provide this for men and answer the question to me as to why. So men always talk about needing to heal. It's now regularly acknowledged, but nobody will take the first step in being vulnerable publicly.
Yeah, absolutely right.
No, I agree with you.
And that's kind of what I was getting at earlier.
Yeah.
Like, because like you were saying, it was, they're trying to heal, right?
Yeah.
So
are they trying, or do they just know they need to heal?
No, I'm saying like women.
Yeah.
Men, we always bury it because we're always taught that we don't really show emotion, especially in the Black community.
Absolutely.
We don't show emotion.
Right.
So we were always taught that that's weakness. That's weak, you being weak, suck it up.
Right.
So a lot of us don't know how to get to that point. So when I say, all right, so who heals us? If we all are in that same boat, it would be like the blind leading the blind.
Right.
So who do we turn to find out how to even get that process started?
I think you have I think there's someone in there hiding that you guys need to talk to about that.
Oh, shit. Well, listen, Jessica, I got a challenge for you.
Okay.
I think there should be another summit offered annually for men and women.
I think the guys sitting
Because
next to me.
And the reason why I'm saying that
I'm not creating a dating event for you.
I'm saying, but listen, I think that a lot of women,
right in the back picking flowers, like.
I'm gonna help you get to that breakthrough. Don't worry, man.
I think a lot of men don't really hear women sometimes, And
you will hear them at this event.
That's my
They
point.
scream, cry.
That's my point.
Women lashes is falling off in the first hour.
So that's why I think it would be beneficial to have a joint summit like that, to where maybe couples can come, or men and women, and men can hear the concerns of women.
I think though, like what she was saying, and it makes sense when I like hearing you say it, because a lot of women probably wouldn't do that in front of us.
No.
So it wouldn't have the same effect.
But listen, she had
some that will.
No. She had a lady that was on there that I'm not going to tell too much because I want y'all to actually come to the event and experience it. But anyways, one lady actually was on there and she had to do something outside of the normal thing that she wouldn't usually do. This girl got on there like a Jamaican rapper and started dancing on the freaky table and stuff. So like, most people are
she put her leg on the table.
Most people are not going to do that like that.
Because she's just in front of women.
Exactly. And also, too, that what she's created is a no judgment zone.
Yeah.
You see, most people judge.
But I've done that by being the person that puts all their shit on the table.
Okay.
By being the person, there's nobody out there in the audience that has not seen everything I've gone through. Not a soul. I've put everything on Front Street. And so I opened the event like that. Like, this is, you know everything about me. Everything. There's nothing. I mean, there's some things, but you know everything. You've watched my wins. You've watched my failures. You've watched my breakup. You've watched my transformation.
Right.
I've told you when I'm crying. I've told you when I'm bullshitting. I've told you when I'm stuck and struggling, and I'm going to show you again when I win after that. Like, I put everything on Front Street, and so now they're faced to look at me and go, okay, well, fuck, I can't front no more.
Yeah.
Let me put it out. I've been feeling that way too.
Right.
Like, so leading by example, this is what we teach our kids, but we don't do this with our friends and our peers.
So maybe we need to come out with
You think that could work with women? In your opinion? Like,
Yeah, 1,000%.
Well, why though? Because we're going to have to look big. The thing is that with men, what we typically do, women, you'll always have a
circle that supports them.
always, no matter what, lose your job, break up, kids, getting on your damn nerves, all that. But with men, like if you come to your homie and say, hey man, my lady going through it, whatever, you gonna be like, man, let's get her, man, it's gonna be done. You know what I'm saying? That's how we heal. Unfortunately, that's how we taught. Like, it's not a space open for a man to say, hey man, I'm going through this and I'm feeling a certain type of way.
So let me ask you, the fact that you can acknowledge that says that you know that that's not the correct way to heal.
Right.
So what's wrong with that?
we don't know how.
Well, no, what's wrong with,
I don't agree with that. I think we do.
I was like,
yeah,
you know it's wrong.
Yeah, we know. We know what.
And I think that it's up to us to recognize that friend that says that. That's just like, yo,
right.
Just get the fuck over and find somebody new. Move on. You gotta look at that friend and say, okay, this friend ain't the friend to talk to about this.
No, absolutely.
Yes.
You need that friend that's gonna keep you straight with you. It's like, yo, bro, this is who you really want. Like, this chick right, these women out here, they just with you for the money.
So then how
this
do you
one right
help
here
that friend?
Who?
That friend that's telling you, I'll go get another one.
You can't.
Yeah. So they just lost cause.
I'm not.
You gonna keep the talking?
You can't help
keep
them.
talking to somebody broke about your business?
Has to help them.
You gonna keep talking to somebody broke about your business?
Because people who are like that, they kind of stuck like that. They need somebody to step in and be like, hey, listen.
But they're also projecting based off their insecurities and their issues. So now you've let someone tell you not to date someone or not to chase someone that you're in love with based on something that you've been through, and you're talking about two completely different individuals and two completely different situations.
But that's what it takes is you as a man.
Yes.
I agree. You as a man have to be smart enough to recognize that. Like at the end of the day, if I have relationship issues, I know what friends to talk to about it.
Right.
I don't talk to my yes men friends. I don't talk to my he man woman hater friends. I don't talk to my booty licking friends. I talk to my friends who go. We gonna edit that out. I talk to my friends.
That's not me or Vic.
Oh no, we're not talking about these two. We talk about a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
And we keep it real. We will tell each other, boy, you stupid. Why you do that? You should have known better. You know what I'm saying? Like, but those are the friends I talk. I don't like. I'm gonna tell you right now, I do not like yes men.
Yeah.
I may not tell you straight up, like, yo, you just agreeing with me, just like. But at the end of the day, I'm gonna recognize him, like, oh, this is just a yes man. He's just like a dead ass ride or die. The key word to ride or die is exactly that: ride or die. Don't let that go over your head.
Yeah.
You don't fucking ride or die. You figure it out so that you can survive. So at the end of the day,
And thrive.
survive and thrive. So you go to that person who is, that person that's gonna give you sound advice. They're gonna give you real advice. They're gonna tell you what you don't want to hear. They're gonna tell you, yo, you were stupid for doing that. You were wrong for doing that. This is how you need to correct the situation. And even then, you don't have to take someone's advice 100%. You take it all in, and you also have to look inside yourself and figure out what's best for you.
Yeah, but I think also too, see, you're leading from obviously an example of yourself, but you've done the work for, you know what I'm saying? So a lot of men haven't done the work. So what he's saying, it's kind of what I'm guessing what he's saying is like, who do we find has done the work?
I keep saying it, and I don't think you guys are listening. There is someone in here that has done the work.
Well, yes, but we're talking about on a big scale of, you know what I'm saying, of men. Like, yes, I've done the work because of personal development and going through business, right? I just know that has to happen.
So you're gonna leave the song.
I guess that's what you're nominating.
Because what you're basically saying is now we're choosing or asking that we don't want to be sheep. We want to be
Right.
We want to be different, right? So now you need a different leader. You need someone that is setting a different example. But it has to be someone that can lead by example that's done the work. You've done the work. You have done the work. And I think you overlook it so many times to the level of what, there's stuff you could tell people in this room right now that you've done that people would be like, the fuck?
Yeah, there's some stuff I haven't told you yet.
So that goes back to my point, right? Where I think there needs to be a men and women's summit.
I think it still should be separate.
Men shouldn't even be vulnerable in front of men. How y'all gonna be vulnerable like that?
I think there should be 3.
Men's summit? Think about this.
Men's summit?
Think about
and
this.
there should be one that you two
Are you gonna cry in front of a group of women?
Listen.
All right, that face, it kind of convinced me.
Exactly. That's the face. Yes, I will.
Okay.
Yes, listen. If you know me well enough, you know I wear my emotions on my shoulder.
Okay,
so let's
hold on. Wait, here's the beauty. Hold on, wait, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the reason why the woman's version is so important because women do shit for women, right? Men do shit for men, right?
Uh-huh.
So men, the reason
do shit for women.
Nah, I'm more for women.
You do, but the primary, so let me say this, right? No woman, I was joking when I said that, but no woman's ever gonna be like, oh, he's soft. We don't care. We're usually, if you're mature enough, you're attracted and furthermore amazed at a man that can be a little bit vulnerable and soft, right? Mm-hmm. We want that. But men are the reason why men don't act like that. You're not hiding your vulnerability from a woman. Mm-hmm. You're hiding your vulnerability from other men.
Yeah, but
you don't want to come across as soft.
But you can't be too soft and vulnerable early on.
Because if a woman doesn't understand you, she's gonna think you're soft. If
you meet a man tomorrow and he just automatically, oh my God, you're so beautiful, and he just start crying and stuff, you're gonna be like, all right.
But if you
listen to what you're saying. We're talking about vulnerability versus being soft. Those are two completely different things. Yeah. Vulnerable is saying, okay, let's clarify what vulnerability is. Yeah, vulnerability is being honest about how you feel in the moment or how things trigger you and make you feel, right? I mean, I made that example up, but you're talking about soft, I'm crying, I'm telling you, oh, I'm in love with you, oh, you're beautiful, oh, you're this, oh, you're that.
Well, not just that, but I'm just saying emotional. Let me use that word, emotional.
It's not even emotional. Vulnerable is just your honest truth. So vulnerable is like, I get up from this table and I get up from this table and one of you say God damn you thick, whatever, blah, 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 blah. And I turn around and I say, thank you, but I would prefer you not say that about me. I prefer to be told I'm beautiful. That actually kind of makes me feel womanized or whatever. That's just, there's nothing wrong with what I just said. I'm just being vulnerable and telling you how what you said made me feel, right?
Oh, okay.
So there's nothing about that is emotional or something. Now some men would say, based on their traumas, oh, you're being real emotional right now. You're in your feelings, right? You in your feelings right now. You need to chill out. But in reality, no, I'm just being honest about how that made me feel. And so that's a man, even whether that's on the first date or the 10th date, saying you're really different. You're making me feel a way that is very different than what most women feel. That's vulnerability. I left this date and felt amazing. But people are so used to playing hard to get as a win that we're so stuck in it. It's ridiculous.
See, I like when you did that, but I was thinking, right?
Here we go.
I was thinking about a true definition of vulnerability. So I had to Google it.
Here we go. Go ahead. I know I was off, but go
I
ahead.
had to Google it. You were off, but you weren't off.
Go ahead.
And so the true definition of vulnerability is the quality or state of being exposed to the possibility of being attacked or harmed, either physically or emotionally. So that's like telling somebody how you feel with the possibility of them saying, shut the fuck up, you whack, you stop.
This is why men won't do it.
And that word
Some
exposed
men,
is so dangerous.
Some.
Wow, a lot
There's
of
a
men.
majority of
a
men.
lot of men.
I'll tell you how I feel in the heartbeat.
Okay,
in
you
a
man.
heartbeat.
But a lot of men won't do the same.
But you should. You should.
But
I mean,
you also got to think about too. A lot of men haven't reached that point of maturity. Either.
Right.
Like, I ain't gonna tell them how old you are.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll tell you how old I am.
You-
Old.
There you go.
I'm like falling slow motion old. But
Yeah,
Chew with your mouth open.
but a lot of men haven't gotten to that point where they even understand themselves enough to display that emotion.
yeah.
But I think that's what the event could be about. Is like emotional. What is that? What do we call it? Like emotional? No, emotional intelligence.
Yeah, most of the time.
Emotional intelligence. Like we're business savvy. We read tons of. Most men looking to grow read tons of books.
Mhm.
The same practices you use in business are similar in your self growth and personal journey. But it's just a reflection of yourself, and people put that information in their business without looking in the mirror. Like having that event for men to just say, this is the journey you can begin, whether it's therapy, whether it's hypnosis, whether it's the superior man, whether it's, there's a zillion books out there to help men understand how they present themselves and how they can present themselves in a way that is authentic. We use the word authentic, so that when the time comes, you're not vulnerable to being exposed.
Yeah. Here's my advice for you, man. Be vulnerable with people you trust.
Yes.
Be vulnerable with people who are close to you. But pay attention to how those people handle your vulnerability.
You know what?
If they use it against you, they're not for you.
That's what I.
They gotta go.
Yeah.
All right. That's my advice.
Hey, that was good.
That's how I handle people. I'll tell you how I feel.
That was good.
I hold people, like, even with my friends, I hold my friends to very high standards. You know that. If I feel like the vibe is off, I'm going to pull your ear and talk to you like, yo, bro, listen, I feel like stuff feels a little weird between us. Is everything good? And if you take that to be like, man, you fucking soft, man. What's wrong with you, man? We good, man. Da, 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 da. Oh, all right. So you can't accept the fact that I'm talking to you about how I feel. You're not the type of friend that I thought you were for me. Same thing with your relationships. If you can't talk to a woman and tell her, look, this is how I feel about what you did or what you said. You embarrassed me in front of my friends by yelling at me or da 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 da. And she's like, well, nigga, you soft. This is how I talk. Get over it. That's not the one for you.
But it's like you just said. We say this all the time. If you assign someone the ability to give you joy, you also assign them the ability to give you pain. And so what men are so afraid of is that vulnerability is an open door to weakness.
Yeah.
It's the ability to hurt you. If I give you my truth, you can then turn around and beat me with it. Like,
Right.
These are the things that I have not given to the people closest to me. So now you know my bank account numbers. Now you know that I've said these things. Now I've told you my childhood traumas. And at any point, if I piss you off, hurt your feelings, or mess this up, you're going to turn around and use this against
Throw it
me.
in my face, yeah.
So there's no point in me being
That is
vulnerable.
the worst thing you could do as a person in somebody's life, is throw something in their face that they were vulnerable with you with.
Right.
But again, men, the way you protect yourselves in that type of situation is you give them something that's not going to hurt that much. If they throw it in your face.
That's armor.
Like, look, I fart in my sleep, okay? So I need you to be okay with
fart when you're
When you're not.
Wait, we be setting up and he go. Bro, like we all in the room right now.
I wasn't saying that like truthful. I was just giving it as a funny example.
That's not.
Oh, well, no.
He just told everybody I was fart.
Hey,
But the point I'm trying to make is you put it out there.
Lord.
Something that's not going to hurt you that much.
Yeah, but they're not
And see
gonna
what they
share.
do with it.
But so who's gonna share? Oh yeah, you know what? Brian farts in his sleep. That's not share worthy. You have to be share worthy where if you put it in their hands and they share and you like, you know what? I only shared that with you, so if that got back to this person and came back to me, I know what you.
I'm not even talking about as far as sharing. I'm talking about as how they deal with it with you.
Hey, but real talk, I think that would be
So
a minute. And I say
huge.
that, and I say that because I can personally say that I struggle. I'm getting better with it, but I struggle with that. I always tell people, and I even had this conversation with my mom. I said I was never taught sympathy or empathy, so I never knew how to show it. So I tell people all the time, if somebody cries in front of me, I have no, like, it makes it so awkward and I don't know how to react.
Zero empathy.
Like, if you cry in front of me,
I've gotten better though. So that's the thing. I have got a lot better. It got to the point where I actually have cried over some movies recently, which I haven't done that in years. I will tell you this, the first person, and I'll tell my age, I'm only 37. The first time I've had empathy in 30-some years was when Nip died. I shed tears that day. And I wasn't even a huge...
Boy, he was crying.
I did. I wasn't even a huge Nip fan before, but I just could feel the pain of everybody on social media that day.
It's energy.
It's crazy you say that because I had the same experience with Kobe.
Yeah.
And I think I related with that
Yes.
because his daughter was with him.
Yes.
And I had my son at that point.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So so I felt it. And that's why I say, I think now I'm a lot better.
Yeah.
And I think my son, I can attribute a lot of that to him because my son is always with me. And I always, like I said, I know that I don't really know how to show empathy. So I don't want my son to be that way.
Right.
So I'm like actually very loving with my son.
But it's different with your kid.
Yeah,
It's so different.
It's your creation.
It is.
You can't take that away. A woman, unfortunately, they might have an expiration date. They all do. Everybody, relationships have expiration dates, whether it's, the relationship ends for whatever reason, or even you die, right?
Yeah.
So, you die or she died. It's going to expire. So I think that's what it comes down to, is that the reason why I've struggled in the past too with having an issue is because your kids is something you created. It's like your business.
Yeah.
You created it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's easier to have emotions and everything else, but this is your creation. When it goes into actual relationships, intimate relationships specifically, it's different because you're like, that could be taken from you at any point.
Right. But I just think it's a step forward. It's not all the way there because, like you said, that's completely different.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about a female you're in a relationship with
it's
versus
relationship
a kid.
different.
Yes, that's completely different. I just think that the process of displaying some type of emotion, that was kind of my step forward with because that's my son.
Yeah.
But listen to how interesting that is what you just said. You said, I struggle with sympathy and empathy. So one, you acknowledge it, which is huge. But when you're in a relationship with a woman, an adult woman that is looking for something long lasting, what is the primary need that we have? Safety, attention, like feeling like we can trust you. That level of attention and trust and safety comes from sympathy and empathy. This is why you end up in these situationships where women are like, oh my God, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
What's going on? What are you thinking about? And it's not because you lack interest in her, it's because you have zero ability to showcase sympathy or empathy.
And I would say
Because we tie that to your ability to care about us.
the most recent situationship, that was the exact issue. And I actually had this conversation. I got deep into it, and I explained basically what I just explained now, because she went through something and she felt like I didn't care or I didn't show enough attention. And I said, I promise it's not that I'm doing that on purpose or that I don't care. I literally do not know what to do in this situation.
Right.
Another thing too, we've talked about this as well. You as an entrepreneur and as a man, we're problem solvers. So when something happens to us, how do we solve the problem? How do we end that? And that is why it's so hard for us to be sympathetic or something or whatever. We like, yo, this happened. Okay, so.
But
we already thinking about, all right, well, let's figure out.
Let me figure out how to fix it. But through years of therapy, Chris, we've learned how simple these solutions are. So women, many times, we just want to be heard and felt cared about, right? So like, such a simple solution to that is I come home from work, I'm pissed, I'm annoyed, my coworkers tried me, this, that, and the third. Heavy situation. I come home, I'm throwing stuff, I'm slamming stuff, I'm angry, I'm what? What do you want? My partner saying to me, looks like you got something. Do you want to talk about it? And then I say, yeah, and I start talking. You say, okay, I can clear as day, I can tell you the solution to this, or do you just want to talk? And giving your woman a chance to say, I really just want to talk about it. Great, let me open a bottle of wine, let's talk. Just talk. Because sometimes women just want to be heard. We just want to be felt. We want someone to feel what we feel. For the moment, we want empathy. So, men are like, oh, cool, got it. So tell this bitch. Like, no, just don't solve it sometimes. And the way to that is instead of creating that or making that up on your own, just say, hey, you seem like really angry. You probably need to vent. You want me to open a bottle of wine? You want to just talk about it? Or do you want me to help you with the solution? It's so simple.
And see, this is why I say there needs to be additional summits because of the gems that she just dropped.
But
that was big though.
Nah, real talk. I think that would be like initially I was like, yeah, it was a joke, but I think that would actually.
And then watch this. A woman would be so turned on if you were like, damn, baby, this sounds like it was rough. Let me open this bottle of wine. Keep talking. Let me pour this bottle of wine. Keep talking. Oh, that's crazy, right? Oh my God.
But
wow.
See, here's the thing.
And I'm like, oh, you really like about to spend the rest of your evening listening to me? Oh, okay. Let me
And that's
start
there are so many men who do not know what you just said.
They
don't know how to and there's so many women who will not say what you just
they
said
need.
to the men.
Right.
And
So that's why I said
my job is to tell women how to say what they need and honor that. And
so Jess, can we get another summit? A joint.
You get this live on the podcast.
So you gotta look at his face because you want to say it. We almost came out with a podcast about this, remember?
Yeah, we did.
And it was gonna be so dope.
Oh, he talked to us about
it. It was gonna be
again.
So, I still show people that cover, and they're like,
triple threat talk. We talk. We are dead ass brothers.
Yeah.
We talk about a lot of stuff. You know, Jess.
He just want me to put together a dating summit.
This is not
put these fine ass women in the room, please.
Check this out. What if just to entertain your to do both of them together.
Yep.
What if it was how many days is it? 2 days.
Yeah.
So first day, 3 days.
Men and women.
Men by themselves.
Yes.
Women by themselves.
And then the joint.
And then bring them together.
Absolutely. Because then they can see the reformed version of themselves. Because just in 2 days, we saw two completely different women. The second day, we told them to come in as their alter ego. And they came full force. So to come in that room after a full day of healing and match, like just real shit, all the things that we have done, people would never, like we've done exercises where we had to sit in silence and stare at each other's eyes for 15 minutes. And you can't say nothing.
Yeah.
Like, and literally, like we've done things that we could, just getting people to do these like, what we would call surface level exercises.
Right.
And this is the part I want you to acknowledge without us going too deep. But of all the relationships that you've been in, even though ours did not pan out, explain the level of growth that comes with being in a relationship that you are like truly vulnerable in.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible because you can, once you have somebody that you can trust with telling them, this is how I feel, this is what I'm going through, this is the struggle in business that I'm going through right now. And, listen, man, my pocket then went from this to that. And you have that area of comfortability to discuss that with your partner. It's amazing because then you really feel like you got somebody by your side where, this is the dynamic of what I want in a relationship on that side of things. Right?
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Where I can really be comfortable with telling them, like, hey man, I'm going through it. Because, if you have a bad month in business, you're not gonna feel so much comfortable telling your homie, like, yo, bro, I just took a big month.
Right. Right, because they're not gonna look at you the same.
They're not. Like, oh,
this
yo,
nigga,
man, you
he's
messed up your
struggling
money.
just like
Oh,
me.
man, yeah,
That's the thing with an alpha male though. We never want to display any signs of
But that
weakness
to
or
us
whatever.
is strength. That's strength. Imagine having a woman on your side. Like, I think one of the most powerful things between us was, well, among many things, was if someone's to happen to you tomorrow, I know how to pick up your business and call the right people.
Yeah.
I would pick up your business, run, call the right people, make it keep going, to have the legacy that you always intended to have, God forbid. Like, I want the same things that you want for you and your name.
But see, listen, we can do a whole other podcast.
Yeah.
I think
episode.
we could do like 4 hours.
We can do, but because we have another episode. Because here's another episode that we could do.
Yeah.
Vic is like a younger version of me.
Ooh. What can I give you some advice?
And all the reason why I say that, because we're still two different individuals.
How old are you?
30.
I'm not even 30.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But he would like to have somebody like that.
Right.
But the challenge is pushing that woman to see that.
Hold on.
So like I said, it's not pushing them, but just getting them to see,
Opening their mind.
open their minds and getting them to see the greatest in them.
Mm-hmm.
You were the first person out of all of the people that I have interacted with that actually took the advice and ran with it and did it.
Absolutely.
So the struggle,
But it was hard.
it
was hard.
People don't like hard.
They
I
don't.
cussed him out so many times. I remember driving the car one time and he was yelling at me. It was literally like talking to a brick wall, and I'm on the phone and I was like, what is he talking about? Like, I don't understand. Like, I don't know how to be this person. What is he talking about? Like, I could not conceptualize what he saw for me. But once we finally got through that breakthrough, like, I was with a person that saw something in me I couldn't see in myself.
What got you to that though? What was that breakthrough? Like, how did you get to that?
So, one, we don't like planting seeds without result, right? Especially men. So he just kept planting the seeds, with or without results. He just kept planting the seeds. And for some reason, he saw something in me that made him stay, even though I wasn't catching wind of what he wanted me to see, right? Tried it a couple times. We even shot a couple podcasts, remember? And I was like, don't ever play that shit back again. That's terrible. Like, he
I
kept...
still got them.
Yeah. Remember when you played it back for me one time? Keep it on ice.
Just in case when she get super rich and on Oprah level, I'm like, humble moment.
I remember just I kept talking and
Check out the
talking.
Patreon.
Yes.
You know?
Hey,
You're gonna have exclusive
Yeah.
stuff on the Patreon.
But he kept planting the seeds, and I think it's hard for people to plant seeds without instant results or instant gratification. And then we had a traumatic moment in our lives with our son, and it was just like, and this is how the universe or God works, whatever you believe in. You guys know this. Like, you have all this stuff happen in your life, and you can't quite piece the pieces together, and then something happens in your life, and it's like all of a sudden, oh, all this stuff makes sense. So when we almost lost our son, and I had to go to work full time, go to the NICU from 6 to 1 in the morning, eating fast food on the way there, gaining weight because all I wanted to do was work and go see my son. And there was a moment where when they finally said that he was going to make it, because we went a month where they said they didn't know, and they finally said he was going to make it, I said to myself, I will live life out loud after this. If God gives me my son, I will live life out loud, and I'll spend every day after this showing him why. And it all came together because I got home after Cam got home, and I remember I was like, this is everything he's been telling me. This is the life. Like, and then the icing on the cake, which people won't catch this part. The icing on the cake of all of it wasn't Cam. You remember what I said to you? It was then the Cam came home and I was on maternity leave for 2 months. So we had been in a relationship for 4 years. And I had never been home with him while he was an entrepreneur. I worked full time. So now I get to go home. I'm home for 3 months watching him work. And I'm not persuaded by the negative energy that I had at work. So now I keep waking up every day. And I remember telling him one time, I was like, it's like I'm so happy every day. This is so crazy. Is this what you feel every day? And he was like, no, it's because you're not around the people that are like fulfilling someone else's dream every day. And I was like, oh, I want this. Like, I want this.
I think the key is shoot the club up.
Hey.
Be cautious.
man, we could keep going on, but we're gonna wrap this thing up. Man, it's an amazing episode. So many gems you dropped. We appreciate you being on this podcast.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
We're gonna have all of the links, guys, to Income Summit, of course. All women that are watching this, I highly recommend it.
Yeah.
If I was a woman, I'd go.
The man is coming.
The man was coming.
Chris Bruce will be hosting a male version because he's better at self-development.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Chris and Jessica will be hosting the man.
To be continued. And also, if you are wanting to start your own podcast, right? There's a lot of technical things that go on it. Again, she's the one who, her company
Publish,
publishes
write the copy.
this show. So if you want this type of quality for you guys, how can they also get in contact with your company?
Absolutely. So you can first and foremost follow me on Instagram where I hang out the most at Jessica Hurley _. And then if you are interested in scheduling a call with me or my team, you can head over to instapodcast.com.
Perfect. So we'll also have those links also in the show notes. Those who watch on YouTube, it'll also be in the comments, description section below as well too. So again, Jessica, I appreciate you being on the show. A lot of gems. We took it from podcast to personal development.
It's a relationship.
So again, all of y'all that's watching on YouTube, make sure you hit the subscribe button, make sure you like it. If you enjoyed this, make sure you tag her, Jessica Hurley _. We also have her Instagram profile as well in the description. Share this out with 10 people if you enjoyed the episode. And again, we appreciate y'all. I'm your host, Chris Bruce, aka Detroit Mogul.
Vic Gurley, MVP Vic.
Brian Keys, BK. It's all right.
We'll see y'all in the next one.
Yeah.
I used to look for the rainy days to help wash my pain away. Now I don't make a payment late. New estate got my name on the gate. That's what my granny call amazing grace.